Alrighty, let's go find the right screen and start there. Okay, thanks very much, and thanks for having me. Um, I built a lot of DNN sites and use EasyDNN quite often. If you're not familiar with EasyDNNnews, there's a lot of information out there. Go to easydnnsolutions.com. It's EASY, easy, DNN, and then solutions, and you'll find out all about it. It's a great tool. When you know the other guys, the dark side of the web, all those WordPress sites, they start out as a blog. So you have, starting right off the bat, a blog. With DNN, you have a content management system that you could build pages with and all the kinds of powerful stuff. And this is basically your blog. You put this on here, and many people use EasyDNNnews for their news service. So that's a perfect example of, or a perfect way to start there. They have a lot of other products, a lot of themes, and the themes and news combined is what I'm going to be showing you here today. And I'm doing that on a favorite site of mine because it's my wife's site. She is an author of a glossary for Agatha Christie. She has done a lot of studying, a lot of research. With the books are 100 years old now. Agatha Christie, that is, started writing books in 1920, and her legacy goes all the way through the 60s. And she's like the number three author in the world, next to Shakespeare and the Bible. So I'd say that there's a lot of people that enjoy Agatha Christie. But now that that's over 100 years old, some of the terms that they use in the books are very hard to understand, and so you lose something in the reading of the book. That's Kate's goal, is to make it easier for people. And so what we did was, first of all, we created a book. Then we also have a online database of all the same terms that are in the book, and you can become a member of that database. It's a one-time membership fee, and I can explain how I got that to work, but you become a DNN user, basically a login. Once you have a login, and I'm currently logged in here, then you have access to the database. So let's take a quick look at what the database looks like from their perspective. When I say database, I'm talking about the terms from a user's perspective and not the SQL database, and what a developer would be thinking about. So this is what you see as a member of the Agatha Christie database, online database. The stuff in green here are all of the terms. There's over 2,000 terms and growing in the database as she finds new terms in the next book that she's working on. She's putting them in here, putting the definitions in, and those that have purchased the book, well, they'll have the first 1,800 terms. And if you are on the website and not a lifetime member, then you keep getting them as they come in. So on the right, you see the terms. If you click on a term, let's click on this first one at the top, it shows you the definition of the term. And you can click on the next one and it shows you the next definition. In this case, a 45, it's got a picture of a 45. And then if you keep on going, it tells you the definition and it tells you where it was found. So that's basically how you use the database. All the terms are here, and if you want to know what the term definition is, you click on it and it exposes it. Over on the left-hand side, you can go to a particular book. For instance, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd was released 100 years ago last June, and so you've got The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and only the terms that are in The Murder of Roger Ackroyd are listed now because I clicked on it. So now you're seeing only those. So if you're reading the book and you want to know terms from the book before you get into it, you can look at it. You could search by a term itself. So if I type in a phrase, I see a bunch of words that match that. And then if I click on one of them, it'll take me to the actual definition where it was found, what the definition is. This particular one had a picture. It also has content about the picture, like the credit, where we got the picture, and the usage rights for it. And you can also write a comment. So people that are part of the community can talk to one another or leave Kate a message. So that's all the stuff that's here for somebody and there's also French terms, and new items. So special searches. Now, how do we do that? That's all being done with EasyDNN News. So let's look at EasyDNN News. I am logged in as the administrator. In my case, I'm logged in as the host, but still, the administrator would be just as fine as well. And now, when you go to this page, you see all of the DNN stuff that you typically don't see. And in this case, for EasyDNN, the key thing that I wanna tell you about here is right here. EasyDNN for the module that's sitting here. This is the article module. So a typical use of EasyDNN is a news list. So for instance, here's a news list at some other website, and it's just, news article, news article, news article, one right after the other. That's exactly what you're looking at here. Instead of each news article, each one of those is actually a glossary term. So we just type in the term itself as the title of the article. And then if you click on it, you get the summary underneath it. So what you're seeing here is that actually is the title underneath here. This part is the summary. Um, and then if you look a little further, there's this little finger here. And if you click on that, it'll take you deeper into it. It shows you where it's found, etc. And what I did was I went to EasyDNN News and looked through all of the different themes that they had. There's a bunch of them. So, oops, sorry, I'm got myself logged out for some bizarre reason. Once you go, this is the interface for EasyDNN News. It's a very, very good user interface for the developer, for the person that configures EasyDNN News on the website. And one of the items is the theme and template selection. One of the cool things about EasyDNN News is that you can select from a bunch of options. And in this case, there's a whole bunch. Some of these are mine because you can create your own from here. And I started with this simple with accordion. So I'm going to do that right now. Save it, go back, and I'm going to show you. This is what I started with. And it looks a lot like what you saw a moment ago. So I said, well, this is kind of a nice interface. I want to go with this, but I don't want exactly this. I want some of my own things here. I don't want the read more button. I want that little finger that's on the side there. I want the where it was found. I want this customized. And so the way to do that is you go to the settings, back to the theme, then choosing the one that you have and you edit it. Now I'm going to, do the old adage where your cooking show where you get you to the place where it's something that's already been cooked. So I'm going to edit the one that I built just to show you what I did. So here is the template for a simple accordion, but then, so it starts with this message at the top. I wanted to add a message to make it easy for people to understand it, so tap on a term to see the definition. Then this stuff here is EasyDNN News code. I didn't touch any of that, but I went down here and I started editing. So down here is where the title goes. So that's where the title is, where the detailed target and the lazy load of an image, if there's an image that exists, and then the categories and the summary. So here's the summary, and here's the found in, and see these tokens here are EasyDNN News tokens that give you all this stuff all automatically for you, which is great. And then underneath that, I put in an extra message, tap on the book or chapter title, and then it repeats. So this whole thing right here, the repeat before and the repeat to the end, it does the listing capability. And that's what you do. You save it when you're done, save it as, and I created this list articles. Oh, see, and that's it. All right. So that's how I created this thing. And let me move this out of the way so that I can actually close this um, here and here. There you go. And close it and then come back to the page. So that's how I got this to look the way that I wanted it to look. I can do some more stuff and tell you a little bit more about EasyDNN News, but I tell you, EasyDNN News is a great tool. I've got it on many, many websites, but this was just a little bit different in how it's used. It's not really being pushed as an article by article type of thing, but actual glossary. So you could do a lot of things with it. That's what I did here. I did a little bit more. I was able to actually create her book out of the database. So she puts all of the terms in, makes sure that she's happy with what the definitions are, adds in the photos, make sure that the citations are all there. And then when she's done, she said, okay, great. Go ahead and click. Then I go in to the database and I can actually list them out so that it's actually the content that I need for the book. And I can take this file that comes out of it, drop it into an editor, and boom, I can edit this thing and send it off to Amazon. One other thing I can do, and I won't spend too much time with it here. Let's get this thing out of my way. And I can go into Plantain app, which is another tool, one that I use that um, builds business logic and programs on top of DNN. And I built some things to make it even easier for her to edit, to put in new terms, and I can show you how to do that some other time. But that's a little bit over my 5 minutes, and let's just wrap it up there.
All right, that was really interesting. I have one quick question. Go back to the page you were just on with the Expando listings. So am I correct that search by book chapter, is that the categories?
Those are categories.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I
that worked
figured it
out
had to be,
great.
but
Yeah.
that's really smart. I like that.
So
What's
you can,
amazing to me is you're literally every single term and feature in EasyDNN news, you're reusing as something else, and it all fits together perfectly for your project.
that was the stunner for me too when I first
Yeah.
did it was that wow, this would be perfect, and all I got to do is kind of rethink what each of the pieces were. The French terms, so if you want to know all of the things that Hercule Poirot says, that is tags. So that's an easy DNN news tag. And I just tag the article. I have her tag the article as French. The ones that she's putting out now, which are not part of the first 11 books in the 1920s. She marks as new, and that's a tag so that you can search just on those. So, yeah, everything that's here is EasyDNN functionality. One other thing that I didn't mention, but that's also to answer your question, I don't show the details. The details are for her with all of her notes. So, for instance, she goes into this phrase here, and this read more would take you to a detail page, but I created a template for the detail page as well, and that never shows the details. The only way
Mhm.
that you see the details is if you actually edit the article, and then that's the typical. Let's see, let's collapse that. Um, the summary, there's her definition. And in this case, it's very simple, but she has a bunch of different notes on the terms that she didn't want to put into the definition, but she wanted to retain.
Hey, I gotta say, because you got it on screen, and I've only recently converted to it, but if you get into the EasyDNN version 14, you gotta switch to the new UI. It'll trip you up two or three times, and then within a day or two, you'll be like, this is so much faster and better.
I'm looking forward to moving her to that. I've already
It
done
is
that on
really
a
worth
couple
it.
of sites.
It's a
Oh,
time
definitely.
saver.
So, yeah, yeah, I believe it. So I'm looking forward to it because I had mentioned at the end of the little blurb that I just did about how I used Plantain app, and it was mostly because of the time that it took to add a new article in. And I thought it would be much quicker to do it this way um, than
Mm.
to than to uh, than to use the EasyDNN news. But who knows when we switch it over to version 14, may very well be faster still.
Right. Anyone else have any questions?
Yes, actually, I've never used this software. I'm just curious how much has it changed from year to year? Because I find that the learning curve of people sometimes can be a little steep if there's a lot of changes. Has it been, Jeremy mentioned that there have been some changes. How's it been?
I think the latest has been rapid changes. The new interface, the connections with AI are rapid change. Prior to that, I've been using it since, I don't know, 4, 93 or something, very, very
Mm-hmm.
long time. Um, and the basic interface, it's prettied up just a little bit. I mean, what you saw before with the settings, the article editor is a little nicer than it's been, but by and large, it's similar. Jeremy, you've used the software as well. Your thoughts on that?
I think it's stayed really well organized, and their choices and the ways and places they add the features have gone really well. Like, for example, one of the biggest changes was a long time ago, like maybe 2012, 2014, they added events. It's just a
Yeah.
few more fields and an article becomes an event. And when they did that, they did it in a way that it did not break the flow, the data, everything has been there to use or ignore. And I also got to compliment them. They are one of the best as far as upgrades, module upgrades. I do not actually remember ever regretting doing an EasyDNN news upgrade. Always worked flawlessly.
Right. And they usually at an upgrade. I don't know what they've done of late. The last couple of them, I'm just thinking back all the experience of installing them. They usually had like a version 6, 7, 8
Mhm.
upgrade and a 9, an 8, or 9, 10 kind of thing, where the one install will take care of you for a number of different versions of DNN.
Yes, I, I have, I have, I have had a site last fall. I think we went from something like version 8 or 9 all the way to 13 with no problems. One upgrade.
Yeah.
I almost never do in betweens just because they're so good at, we've had so much reliability with their upgrade process.
One thing I didn't bring up here, but there's some brain power in the audience that would help. When I first wanted to do this, I wanted to create, take advantage of what DNN originally was for, a membership site, and use paid, like the PayPal pay for your user ID. And I didn't know how I understood that there was something in there. Some of the pieces are still there, but I don't know, and nor have they been kind of maintained or anything because that capability is not there anymore. But you used to be able to set up a register and then pay an amount of money, and then boom, you are now a user of the site. That would have been great. I couldn't find it. Luckily, I was a Planet App user already, and I just used Planet App and the PayPal extension that they have, and that's how people are buying. That's how I created the automation for people to register, pay their $20 for a lifetime membership, and now they're a user.
Yeah, those features that DNN had way back, there's still remnants of them lying around, but I think parts have been removed or left behind. I don't know of anyone that's even tried to use it in a long time. I mean, we even have a project where we want to integrate with Stripe, and we aren't even looking at that. We're just jumping ahead with our own little custom solution. The Stripe developer tools are fantastic, so we're just doing everything our own way with custom logins and people being able to they're basically just buying their role
Right,
for their
right.
membership. So, yeah, if anyone, maybe Daniel or someone knows, are those features in DNN even, is it possible to still use them? Or am I more correct that they've been left so far behind that it's not worth trying?
So technically back then there was built-in PayPal integration and that is no longer a thing. So there
Okay.
is no longer there is no longer anything built in for payment, basically. However, portal usage, that logic still works. So if you would build an extension that would capture payments and create the portal for the person or enable stuff based on a payment, the rest is still usable.
Hmm. Okay.
That's just so hard to get my head around. I don't want to think that way.
Yeah, there was a time we were trying something called DNN Now. We branded it called DNN Now, where that's exactly what they could do. Is that, I was hoping that we'd be able to spin up an instance automatically after somebody paid. We kind of gave up on that, and we just went with, okay, we'll build you the basic site with a basic template, and then you jump in there and start adding your stuff into it. And that was the DNN Now project. But the
And when I started, it was actually my hosting model. You know, you wanted the NN website, just go here, buy your own portal hosting, and set you up a team and stuff. And like you said, it wasn't manageable after a while because of upgrades and because of a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
We did this for a few associations back in the day, and
Mm.
where they had basically an upcharge for, hosting your own site through the association, and we built some automation for that to all work pretty seamlessly, actually. So they kind of made their payment
Mm.
to the association, and it would spin them up a site, and they would choose which template they wanted to use to get started, and would set up their roles and all that good stuff. It was pretty slick. Kind
So
of
am
miss
I
those days.
correct? This was back in the day when Agatha was still writing these books and there was rotary phones. Is that about right?
DNN's not quite that old, but
Okay. All right. Well, we should move on. Thanks
great.
very much, Don. This
You're
was
very
really
welcome.
interesting.